Haven't seen any police officers coming here. Only police.
Justice in America, not for the blacks.
The scene has really gone crazy out here right now.
All off-duty deputy sheriffs are directed to contact their unit of assignment as soon as possible or the nearest Los Angeles County Sheriff's facility. Sheriff Sherman Block has mobilized all department personnel due to the escalation and seriousness of the problems that are occurring in parts of the Los Angeles area. The California Army National Guard has been deployed to assist the Sheriff's Department and Los Angeles Police Department in a mutual aid operation to restore law and order and to protect life and property. In addition, the curfew has been extended to include all of Los Angeles city limits and to include Los Angeles County boundaries of Vernon Avenue on the north, Lomita Boulevard on the south, Crenshaw Boulevard on the west, and the Long Beach Freeway on the east. In addition, most social events that are scheduled this weekend in Los Angeles County parks have been canceled.
Trying to protect their businesses from any contingency. Once again, I repeat, this is an unedited videotape, but we did manage to get hold of this tape to give you an idea of some of the individual actions that are being taken. These they do not look like automatic, like AK-47s. They seem to be regular rifles that they're using.
But it seems like every man on that roof was armed.
Yeah, that's right. And thus far, there does not seem to be any looting or burning, at least right where they are.
I think
now that man up there seems to be holding a shotgun, Larry, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's holding a shotgun, and I think one of his purposes is he wants potential looters to see it. I think he wants people, all of them up there, want people to see that they are armed and that you enter their properties at some risk.
Well, you notice this is in a high-rise area. I'm not exactly sure where that is. I suspect that is just south of Vermont.
Yes, that's the area it looks like. I saw a sign, a street sign that said 5th Street, too, a moment ago.
Okay.
There are a lot of armed people over there.
So you wonder what's going on inside these stores? Well, we took some shots here. Look at this. This is inside a Kenny shoe store. And, you know, it's party time. These people are smiling, as you heard. They don't care. They know it's illegal. They don't care. But I'll tell you what happened moments later. The Korean merchants and store owners who own that shopping complex, they were talking to me for a moment. They said they were fed up. They walked away. Next thing I knew, they walked out of their stores. 3 of them were holding guns, and they just started firing at everybody and anybody. We were showing some of this to you live earlier. Then what happened, apparently a car full of some young black kids pulled up on the other side, and they started shooting back. You're going to start to see what they noticed what was going on. They started shooting back, and we were right in the middle of it. It all happened so quickly. To tell you the truth, I thought they were blanks at first. I couldn't believe that these guys had actually pulled out loaded guns, but they were. There were bullets flying all over. And here you can see, this is where they see the cars pull up and they start to shoot.
Now, let me be absolutely clear. Like most Americans, I believe the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to bear arms. I respect our strong tradition of gun ownership and the rights of hunters and sportsmen. There are millions of responsible, law-abiding gun owners in America who cherish their right to bear arms for hunting or sport or protection or collection. I also believe most gun owners agree that we can respect the Second Amendment while keeping an irresponsible, law-breaking few from inflicting harm on a massive scale.
No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
It was a human drama with emotions and tensions running high. Patty Connie is still trying to recover physically and emotionally.
They really did a number on me.
From the day police forced her from her home.
It was traumatic. All of a sudden, they were banging on the front door, the side door, and the back door. They said, "Let us in."
Patty tried to explain. She was on dry land, she had plenty of food and water, and didn't want to abandon her dogs. But it didn't matter.
If you see 6 or 8 police that look like linebackers pushing you in a corner, you're in shock. I'm saying, look at all my food. I got plenty of food. They kept pushing me back, and ended up like this.
Then, Patty showed them a small revolver she was carefully holding in the palm of her hand. A camera crew was there to capture what unfolded next.
I said, "It's not even loaded." And I dropped it on the floor.
You got a gun?
Well, they punched me in the face. Look at my black and blue marks. Look at what they did to me. They dragged me out of here. I really thought they were going to kill me. I really did.
We were coming back across the lake is when we got stopped by Coast Guard and St. Tammany Sheriff's Department and the National Guard by gunpoint.
We had identification. We were coming back from a house that we were taking the weapons out of so criminals wouldn't break in and steal them. And we've had policemen tell us that that's what they wanted us to do, but not the sheriff in St. Tammany. They just wanted to confiscate them from us.
We felt like criminals at the time when they come up to us with M16s or AR-15s, whatever it was, but there were 4 of them with rifles and holding on us with our hands in the air until they got in our boat.
So they got on the boat and they asked us, "Do you have any loaded weapons?" Yes, we do. They're in the 2 back compartments. Wayne went to show them where the gun was, and he screams, "Don't touch it. Don't even move. I'll get it."
I felt like it was un-American and then we had been violated when they took. Like I say, we were shell-shocked. We were just sitting around looking at each other and said, "We just got our guns taken away from them."
They took them. And they didn't have a right to take them. They didn't have a reason to take them. That was the thing. We did nothing wrong. But they took them anyway. He said, "Be thankful we're taking your guns here." Why should I be thankful? Well, if they catch you with them on land, they're going to take you straight to jail.
We live in proof that all they have to do is say, "Look, this is the law."
You had that feeling that you were violated. They took something from you. They stole something from you. That's the only way to put it. They took something that they didn't have a right to take.
What'd you come and get my gun for? I'm a good citizen.
Marie Galatis, a Baptist minister, faced the same story in her neighborhood. The same threats by thugs, the same lack of police, but she never once felt afraid.
And I had my Bible, and I had my gun, and I knew I was safe. And I tell you what, I'm a Annie Oakley if you come fool with me or my family. I'm gonna let you have it, buddy.
Marie knows she was lucky. She was never forced to leave home and didn't have her firearm confiscated.
It's going against my constitutional rights as a citizen.
But Marie remembers how upset she got when the police department threatened to take her firearm.
You're letting the thugs get away with everything, and you're coming to honest, good citizens and taking away their protection, and it is wrong. Wrong. Wrong.
Is that we're losing control of who we are as a nation.
Robert Zoss was forced to evacuate when a tree destroyed both of his family's homes.
Loaded with dogs, kids, people.
Then, as they were exiting through downtown, the unexpected happened.
These cops came out of nowhere, said stop, and asked, do we have weapons in the car? And I told him, yeah, I do. He said, get out the vehicle, had us all sit cross-legged in front while they searched the vehicle. I had a .22 long rifle. My tenant's girlfriend had a .22 pearl handle revolver given to her by her grandmother or grandfather.
But Robert couldn't believe what he watched police do next to his rifle and his friend's pearl handle revolver.
I saw them smash her gun given to her by grandmother, grandfather, just against the curb. The other things that they busted up, the .22 rifle they busted up, these were police officers that went too far. We didn't have any rights. I mean, they treated us like criminals. They treated us like if we were in a third world country. I was scared because these guys weren't doing it by the book. There was mayhem. New Orleans police did not have control of the city anymore. So the only plan they thought, I guess, was to take the guns away from the people. Heed the warning of what this was. You know, this is like Australia. All of a sudden, boom, they got our rights.
Okay, this is a Browning 270. It's my deer rifle. And this is a Savage 7mm 08. This belongs to my grandson. And this was the two rifles that they confiscated. We left about 6 o'clock in the morning. We started across Lake Pontchartrain. As we came out under the drawbridge, a St. Tammany Parish sheriff's boat run up with their lights flashing, told us to pull over. So we pulled over, and they pulled in about 20 foot from us. And they had 5 guys in the boat, and they had assault weapons, and they pointed them at us and asked if we had any weapons on board. I told them yes, we had 2 weapons. They said, get at the back of the boat with your hands in the air. We're coming aboard to search. They got the guns. They opened the case and looked at them. I was standing at the back of the boat with my hands in the air. Automatic rifles pointed at you. I mean, you don't have any choice. I mean, they didn't just have them pointed from their hip. They had them up at their shoulder pointed, you know. I mean, they weren't playing. They asked where we were going. Told them we were contractors for Pala Interstate. We were going to New Orleans to find a route to come in with a barge. So they said, okay, we're seizing these weapons. So I said, I want a receipt for my guns. They said, no, we're not giving receipts. Said if we give receipts, we'd be out here all day writing receipts for all the weapons we've confiscated. It made me angry when they told me to go get a lawyer if I wanted my guns back. That's when I really got angry. They didn't care what your rights were. They were going to deny them. It's not America as we've known it before. It's changing.
This is video from a surveillance system overlooking the driveway of the victim's home. You can see the suspects pull up in their car. One of the would-be home invaders fires a shot as he runs into the garage. Within seconds, several more shots ring out. Investigators say these came from the man inside the house. Look closely. Shards of glass fly as bullets hit the front windshield.
It was just a normal day at the Palms Internet Cafe in Marion County. You could see the customers here chatting and playing their games. But they were interrupted by these 2 men. Watch as deputies say Davis Dawkins and Dwayne Henderson come in, wave a gun, pointing it right at the customers, asking for their valuables. But just seconds later, someone steps in. Look at the right of your screen, a man running with a gun firing at those 2 suspects. From another angle, look at the guys in the black clothing with the masks, one with a gun, the other with a bat. You see them, then you don't. The next time they come into view of the cameras, one of them is diving on the ground. The man, 63-year-old Samuel Williams, he's right behind them, firing. They leave. Williams, as calm as can be, as a customer inside, locks the door and waits for deputies. When questioned by the detectives, he said he was with his wife at that cafe and was afraid they were going to shoot somebody.
I didn't grow up in a house with guns. I don't hunt. I personally abhor hunting. But I was given a gun by a friend when I was 21 to carry in my purse for self-defense, and I was taught how to use it. A couple of years ago, my parents and I went to a cafeteria in Texas on a bright sunny day. We weren't in a dark alley where we weren't supposed to be. And as you all know the story, this madman drove his truck through the window. And he began shooting Well, immediately, my father and I got down on the floor and put the table up in front of us. And this guy kept shooting. And you're thinking, what could it be? Is it a robbery? That's the first thing that generally comes to mind. And he keeps shooting. It took me a good 45 seconds to realize that this man wasn't there to commit a robbery. He wasn't there for a hit. He was there to simply shoot as many people as he possibly could. Now, I'd like to make something clear. I hear all this talk about how many bullets can go in a clip. I've been there. I can tell you it doesn't matter. It takes 1 second to switch out a clip. You can have 1 bullet or 100 bullets. It doesn't matter, guys. I've been there. He goes, dump, dump, just like that. That's not enough time to rush a man, I promise you. When I finally realized what was occurring, I thought, I got him. And I reached for my purse. He was maybe 12 feet away. You know, is it possible my gun could have jammed? Sure. Is it possible I could have missed? Sure. But I can tell you I've hit much smaller targets at much greater distances. But then I realized that a couple of months earlier I had made the stupidest decision of my life. I took my gun out of my purse and left it in my car. Because as you well know, in the state of Texas, it's sometimes a felony offense to carry a gun in your purse. I can tell you that I'm not mad at the guy that did this. As he continued, it was obvious that he was a madman. My father, at that point, said, I've got to do something. I've got to do something. He's going to kill everybody in here. And he rushed the man. No way. This guy turned, shot him in the chest. He went down, was obviously mortally wounded. For whatever reason, that made the man change directions and go off to my left. Shortly thereafter, someone at the back of the restaurant broke out a window. When I saw what looked like an opportunity to escape, I turned around and I grabbed my mother by the shirt and I said, come on, we've got to run, we've got to get out of here. And then my feet grew wings and I was out the back window. As soon as I got out, I realized that my mother had not followed me out. And as I learned from the police officers, she had crawled over to where my father was and cradled him until the guy got back around to her, put the gun to her head. She looked up at him, put her head down, and he pulled the trigger. My parents had just had their 47th wedding anniversary. She wasn't going anywhere. As I mentioned, I'm not really mad at the guy that did this. And I'm certainly not mad at the guns that did this. They didn't walk in there by themselves and pull their own triggers. The guy that did it was a lunatic. That's like being mad at a rabid dog. I'm mad at my legislators for legislating me out of the right to protect myself and my family. I would much rather be sitting in jail with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive. As far as these so-called assault weapons, you say that they don't have any defense use. You tell that to the guy that I saw on a videotape of the LA riots, standing up on his rooftop, protecting his property and his life from an entire mob with one of these so-called assault weapons. Tell me that he didn't have a legitimate self-defense use. Just one final statement. I've been sitting here getting more and more fed up with all of this talk about these pieces of machinery having no legitimate sporting purpose, no legitimate hunting purpose. People, that is not the point of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not about duck hunting. And I know I'm not going to make very many friends saying this, but it's about our right, all of our right, to be able to protect ourselves from all of you guys up there.
Despite the many opinions, gun sales in Brazos County are up. Store owners say politics is only one reason.
People getting tax returns in, have a little bit extra money in the pocket, then have new types of guns coming out or new models on the market. That always drives excitement.
And it's not just gun sales that are on the rise. Store owners tell me their ammo sales have increased 25 to 30%.
People are starting to get that fear of this ammo tax again.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? It's good to be in the state of New York.
You know, it's amazing. I got a letter from a mother in my district. And that mother has a bipolar child who's schizophrenic. And she fears for her life and the lives of her neighbors every day. And the mental health system in the state of New York has failed her repeatedly. It's a kangaroo system where that child will be treated like a number, a ticking time bomb to go off. And that single mom doesn't have the support from this state or that system to care for that child. And tonight we preach about saving lives. Not long ago, I think a woman was in Georgia. She had several young children. Her husband showed her how to shoot. Somebody broke into her home, came after her. She shot him, I believe, 6 times. Tonight, we're going to pass legislation that if she had 8 rounds in that chamber instead of 7, she'd be a criminal. We haven't saved any lives tonight, except for one: the political life of a governor who wants to be president. We haven't taken an entire category of firearms that are currently legal, that are in the homes of law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. As a legislature that believes in its power, to the extent where you actually profess you're magically saving lives, we are now turning those law-abiding citizens into criminals. And tomorrow, hoping that on the front pages, we will be seen as preventing tragedies. Yet that single mom will wake up tomorrow with that bipolar child who's schizophrenic and violently and mentally ill, and we will have done nothing.
Illegal aliens from Mexico were allowed to march through America's cities demanding citizenship. Some even waved the Mexican flag. But illegal aliens inside Mexico are literally on the run. Most are from Guatemala and Honduras. Some travel by train. Some hide. They're trying to stay one step ahead of the Mexican police. The Mexican government was outraged by the movement to build a new wall on America's southern border. Mexico's foreign secretary went before the cameras to protest that Mexican immigrants are not felons or terrorists. They are human beings who deserve respect and the opportunity to live with dignity. Mexico has called U.S. immigration policy harsh and has called the proposed wall on the U.S.-Mexico border shameful. But some have called Mexican immigration policy hypocritical. Enter Mexico illegally and you're treated as a felon. If you're caught by the federal police, you'll be fortunate if you're only deported. The unfortunate are robbed, abused, raped, or even murdered by corrupt police officers. Fernando Aguiar Neri coordinates Red Cross efforts to help illegal aliens inside Mexico.
When people approach us, they are usually fearful that we work with the government and are afraid of being reported. One of the 7 principles of the Red Cross is complete neutrality and independence, so we can't cooperate with the Mexican government on the illegal alien issue.
Neri says most illegals moving through Mexico try to avoid the cities. The Catholic Church also shields illegal aliens from the Mexican government. We found 2 shelters for illegals in Mexico City, but we were not allowed inside. Most of the Central Americans in these shelters are on their way to the United States. They'll be fortunate if they arrive unharmed. This immigrant from El Salvador said, if you're carrying any money, the police take the money and then say, get out of here. This one says we still have 20 days of travel to reach the United States. But if you're a Mexican citizen wanting to enter the U.S. illegally, then you can count on the Mexican government's full help and support. It even has a special department called Grupos Beta that allegedly helps Mexicans cross the U.S. border illegally. Although in an interview with CBN News, the head of Mexico's Immigration Service, Hipólito Trevino, denied it.
Grupos Beta is the Mexican government initiative which does not help people cross the border, but they do assist them when they have problems in the border area.
But Grupos Beta gives them this booklet, which includes tips on how to safely cross the U.S. border. Trevino denied the allegation that the immigrants are also given maps by the government.
No maps. No maps. Okay. No recommendations about los animales venenosos.
We give them recommendations about the dangerous animals they'll encounter, how much water they need every day, what to do in case they get lost, what to do in case they get detained by the Border Patrol, which paths are dangerous because of crime.
The reason for the government's help? Cash sent home by Mexicans in the U.S. constitutes the second biggest source of foreign currency in Mexico after the oil industry. $20 billion last year, or 2% of Mexico's GDP. About 10% of Mexico's population is now living in the United States, over 10 million people. And how many illegal aliens in its own country has Mexico legalized in the past 5 years? Just 15,000.
I have looked at this carefully. We are not going to send 12 million people home. I know that people think we can. Lou Dobbs, is ginned stuff up. But the fact of the matter is that many of these folks have children who are U.S. citizens, or they have a spouse who is a legal resident. We would have to expend all our law enforcement resources in order to round everybody up, load them up on buses,